Hey Goobs, it's me Jiv, aka the Fearless Neurocompetitor for some apparent reason. So, in today's video, we're going to be looking at tips on commissioning furry art. Now, let's be honest with ourselves, furry art is quite literally one of the most important structures in our fandom, quite literally being possibly the top number one thing that you might need. Well, I won't really say I'll need, but if you want to make an OC and everything, art is going to be kind of in the, meat and potatoes of it. So, I guess this is going to be more like if you're trying to design your OC. But if we're going to be honest, these are just going to be more or less tips on how to commission an artist and things to look out for and just things to mainly, help you out with getting a commission. And as well, if you want any more tips after this video, I do recommend checking out Furry Artists video that I made. It was mostly just telling you like where to find furry artists and what to avoid, like red flags, green flags, etc. for a furry artist. So if you are, not very confident with finding an artist, I would recommend watching that video. Anyway, let's begin. Now, I think one of the first major tips that I think every furry can agree on is what do you want for your persona and what do you need for your OC? Like, for example, you gotta tell the artist what species you want, obviously. A body type, making sure it's an anthro or you want it to be a feral. If you don't know what anthro and feral means, anthro is like, a furry walking on two legs, well, feral is like the animal, I guess. It just comes down to what you kind of want in that sort of aspect, that's all. Do you want your OC to either have a pose or what do you want for the scene of your persona? So do you want a background or do you want your persona to pose a different way? That's pretty important. But or you could just have a simple portrait as well, or you could just have no background and everything like that. There's many different ways to go around it. But there's also the vibe as well. You got to see if you want the vibe to be more of an anime style, more a cute style, a sci-fi style maybe. But you could also just do requests make your persona look more cuter or look more edgier or whatever you practically want in your persona. You can do that. And yes, you can also make your persona look, fucking hell. I'm not even going to finish that word. I'm not even going to finish that word. Now, for the second one is to pick an artist in their style, where you've kind of got to find the artist that has that style. You can't really change up the art style of it. This is kind of where it comes into the play, because you are going to have to find an artist that does their own art style. Because many different furry artists have different styles in their own art. Obviously, look at it. Some of them look more cartoony, some of them could try and look a bit more realistic. There's going to be that sort of feeling in that sort of, route. Now, I've already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. The best place to find artists, in my opinion, would be either using Twitter or using something like Fur Affinity, I'm pretty sure. It is also very, very important to check out their recent work to also know what you're dealing with and not just look at the most popular posts of that artist, because it's good to know view or get a point of view for the artist's current work and knowing that that's what you will most likely get in that return. Now, we've also got when contacting the artist. Now, this is going to be quite, common manners, but just be clear about your art and what you're commissioning for, and also just be polite about it as well. It's very, very important to try and keep up some sort of respect and tolerance with the artist as well. It's very, very important that you do that, especially when it's, good for business and it's just good for the artist's well-being. Especially when, artists are also just like me and you, we are fucking human. So it is also good to learn something called empathy if you don't know what that is. Now, when you do contact the artist, obviously you need to go straight to the get-go, knowing what you want. And it's also very, very useful if you have any ref sheets as well for the artist, so they can get a demonstration of what your persona actually looks like, and to know what details to add onto your persona. Because maybe you've got some sort of I don't know, say a dog tag on your persona, for example. Just something like that. And if you want it implemented into that persona, you've got to do it like that. Or even just a certain pattern for it, for example. There also could be a budget range as well with an artist. You've kind of got to talk to the artist about that. Knowing how much the art will cost, because that is quite an important thing, definitely. And it's also just very more important for you, not only for your own finances, because you better be managing that shit. You're an adult now, probably. Now, for the fourth one, it is also asking very smart questions and thinking ahead for these sort of questions. Like just totally just allowing and ensuring that information about your art, like knowing when it will be done, for an example. But it's also good like knowing how many reversions are included, and just seeing how long it'll take for the work in progress, and even if they can send work in progress as well, for you, like the person buying, to make and ensure that your art is definitely safe and definitely is being worked and you totally have not been scammed. Now, another one is money and logistics. Now, I have heard a lot of drama in this fandom when it comes down to artists and even fursuit makers putting their price points, with people saying that they're requesting too much and other things like that. Now, something that I always have to say is that you've kind of got to respect the artists and what they price, because you don't know their situation. I mean, better yet as well, it's like, it isn't something that I don't think is too ridiculous. I mean, if you can't afford it, just don't buy it. I mean, like, it's quite obvious. I mean, I always also say this as well, furry art and fursuits is not, well, it should never be a priority on your standards. Sure, put it on like a wish list or an item that you really want. Say like right next to your wanted guitar and your car, but like, it's nothing that should be like an essential item for you to buy, if that makes any sense. When you actually like look into it, you've got to just start respecting the pricing. This is one of the major things that I want to talk about, because especially for the better, good-looking furry art as well, because that shit can take hours. I've spoke to an artist like when I first joined the fandom. I'm pretty sure it took someone like 12 hours to create a fucking art piece. Like 12 hours for like a simple 70. Oh well, sorry. In America it'd be like $75, but like the point still stands. That shit for 12 hours is just crazy work. Like, in my opinion, I would actually raise it a little bit higher just because of that. I mean, heck, especially if the guy does details as well. I'm gonna say this for every artist's sake. I'm not an artist when I say this, but I hate it myself. Stop using exposure as fucking currency. That shit doesn't mean anything. Like, I always say this, man, exposure doesn't mean shit. I mean, if you want art, bro, you're gonna pay the price, alright? You ain't gonna use this exposure stuff. Like, I've heard of it so many times. I don't know if it's still a big thing today, but like, honestly, fucking stupid. Actually, a very stupid way of like, trying to commission an artist, man. Honestly. As well, with money and logistics, we also want to look at the safe payment methods, of course, like using things like PayPal goods and service, using Stripe, VGen, and Ko-Fi, which obviously, yeah, it's always to better ensure the safest payment method, so not only you pay the artist, but you also get your art back, and you're not like necessarily putting yourself out there to get into scams or anything of the sort. So technically, it's just ensuring that your safety and possibly the artists as well, to just basically make sure that everything's gone well swimmingly and there's nothing wrong at all. Now, with getting like the commission, or well, during the commission's process, it's always like good to ask for feedback from the artist as well, because well, it's technically your persona. You bought it. You can ask like how it's going and stuff. And I know it'd be quite daunting. Like, trust me, I would know, because I get very scared of like messaging people about how things are going and stuff, especially to make sure that you don't stress them out or anything like that. But try to ask for feedback early, like like any work in progress, and just making sure that everything's fine, and also allowing to ask for certain requests, like saying can I have my tail shorter or larger in the art, or or like, oh, can you like saturate the colours or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to give small examples because these are definitely things that would get mentioned, especially with like if you want your art to be perfect. Now, some other small tips I could mention is also crediting the artist properly. Like, say if you want to like post the art on your own socials, it is just not only just kind to do it, but it's also, to some artists, it might be a requirement to credit them as well in like a link for their account or anything like that. So not only do support the artist, but it's also just like a nice little system that everyone technically wins. And it's also more important, and I will say this because I feel like some people might do it, please don't remove like signatures or like trademark or anything like that. You're like a little logo that like shows it was made by them, because it's just a little bit of a dick move. And to be fair, it's nothing that I would necessarily would support. And I would never never. It's just disgusting, to be honest, a little bit, because like it was made by that artist. It wasn't made by you, so it's just doing it, you know, keeping the signature in a way is not only knowing that artist for next time, but it's also more important to keep it as more of a, you know, who made it sort of thing. Now, the final small tips is actually reading the TOS on their like bio or their website or anything like that, especially when you've got to look out for like commercial use, NSFW rules, refunds and cancellations, and just anything like that, since those are quite important, especially if you want some more spicy art. So yeah, definitely look out for that stuff. Now, it's always good as well to pay on time for the artist, so you know, so it doesn't seem like, you know, the artist has done all that work for nothing. And to also say thank you to the artist as well. It's very important. It's also nice if you ever share the art and link the artists in the credits, since it's always good to do that. And it's also good to leave a nice comment and recommend them on like Twitter or some shit if you want to do that, if the art is that good. Now, personally, that is all I have to mention for tips. I do actually hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if this is a long one. I have put a lot on my list of things to mention in this video, so I do hope a lot of my tips have actually helped you out. But anyway, I do hope to see you in the next one, and I'll see you whenever, I guess.